Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about attachment. You carrying around baggage? Are you attached to the past? Do you still have emotions that arise when topics from the past come up? You talk about a certain event, a certain trauma, and you still get teary-eyed. You still get angry and your nostrils flare and you might find yourself yelling. Can you still get triggered by these things? A lot of us do. I know I can. And when you realize that there's unfinished business from the past, you got to go and handle it. You can't let that shit haunt you forever. It's like having like a string, a cord. And you got to cut that cord. Because you can only go so far as long as you got something around you. You got this leash on you, a leash that is holding you, tying you to the past. Chains that are tying you to the past. It's time to cut that shit. To finally be free. It's an incredibly liberating feeling. Anytime you identify areas of attachment where you still have some hurt trauma, you still hurt over trauma. Now, let me make this clear. It is possible to get over past trauma fully, completely, to be healed from it. And that means that you don't break down, you don't become weak when that topic comes up, when you discuss it. I know for me, there was topics that I would avoid like the plague. Can't even bring it up. We can't even discuss it. Shut that shit down. I'm not talking about that. Because if I do, I get angry, I get upset, I'll cry. You can't go the rest of your life running from yourself, running from fear. A lot of times when we have these emotional cords tied to the past that are holding us back, this unfinished business, this baggage. Obviously, it holds us back from moving forward in the future. Slowly kills us inside because we're holding on to negativity, storing it up. You don't need it. You're not going to use it for later. It's not protecting you. There's ways of challenging the past so you can move on to the future. One way is through forgiveness. There's practices of forgiveness. I have videos on this. I have a video that talks about a whole practice that I follow of forgiveness. There's a visualization technique that you can do. Forgiveness is important. You have to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for fucking up. Forgive yourself for being stupid. Forgive yourself for making a wrong turn in life, for making mistakes in life. Stop being your own worst critic. Stop holding yourself back. Forgive others. Was it Gandhi that said it? Only the weak. Let me get it right. I hate to misquote people. The weak can never forgive. Only the strong can forgive. I believe that's how the Gandhi quote goes. But I love that quote because it's true. And it took me a long time to understand that. I thought holding a grudge, holding on to my anger, holding on to a certain level of fear was a survival tactic. It was important somehow to me to hold on to that as if it was a part of me. When I gave it all up, when I started to learn how to forgive others for trespassing upon me. It's like they stopped renting space in my head. I stopped carrying them around with me every day. I became a little bit more confident, a little bit happier. You really got to pay attention to your state of mind. It's a constant battle to try to stay on top of things, to stay positive. And your inner dialogue is important to be able to learn to control. I talk about self-talk a lot. It's helped to change my life, to learn how to get on top of that. A lot of people that are doing coaching and psychology work or social work, that whole field of mental health, are talking about self-talk and have for decades. And it's important to get on top of that. But a lot of times when we have these unfinished areas in our lives, these cords of attachment, it just means that we are holding on to emotion that needs to be let go. It means that we may not fully have rationalized or understood, become clear on a particular event that happened in our life or a relationship that happened in our life. Another tactic that I've made a video on, I'm not going to go through it in detail here, and you can look through my videos, please like and subscribe, is the blue room technique. And this cuts the cords of attachment to the past. And it's a visualization technique. I like visualization techniques. To me, they work fast. You don't have to do them 100 times for 10 years. You could do them a handful of times and you're over it. It works for me. The blue room technique is, just briefly, it's a visualization technique where you imagine, say, a very specific person or event that has been left unfinished, that you're still holding on emotional cords to, and you cut those cords. And you'll imagine, you go watch my video, I'll take you through the process, and you physically imagine cutting the cords of the past and then healing yourself. Like imagine, like you're pulling off that scar and you're healing the scar. You have the magic healing power, like you're in the D&D game, Dungeons and Dragons game or something. You can just cast that spell. Luckily, we may not have that physical power because we're not X-Men, we're not superheroes, but mentally you can do this. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It's an incredibly powerful organic computer machine. I've let the past haunt me. I've let it ruin relationships. I've let it hold me back. I know what it's like to be isolated, to have no friends, to feel alone, to just walk around depressed, and it's all just cords from the past that I wasn't cutting. And it's frustrating to me because I've done a lot of personal growth. I didn't just jump on this train yesterday and decide, okay, I'm going to be a better person. I started this path of personal development many years ago, about 20 years ago. And I've gone through all the weak areas of my life to build myself up, to build myself stronger, and to move on from the past. And I've had a particularly troubled past ever since I was a kid. I've wanted to claim my future, and a lot of the success I've had in my life with business and just in general, I don't like to brag, but anybody who knows me knows what I've been up to. And a lot of that stuff has only happened because I've been able to do this personal growth. So I'm proud of myself. But I realized, like I was talking the other day on a video, and I had some emotion come up from telling a story of my past. And I was like, wow, thinking in my head, geez, I still have a cord attached all the way back 30 years ago. That's a long cord. There's something from 30 years ago that happened in one day, 30 years ago, can still bring up emotion. Got to deal with that shit. Got to jump into it. Laser focus in on the root cause. That's the thought behind the thought. You have to go through the layers like peeling an onion. So you may start off with, well, what's going on with me? And you're just like, well, fuck that motherfucker. I'm just fucking angry. And you can identify anger. We know what anger is as opposed to sorrow. You know what it's like to have that adrenaline and to be, kind of pumped by your aggression as opposed to being weak and crying. We can identify that. It's a starting point. So I'm angry, or I'm sad, I'm hurt. Where's that hurt coming from? Is it an insecurity? You got to peel back those layers and identify it. You don't have to talk about this with other people. You can do this in your head. And it's kind of like ripping off that scab. You may bleed a little. You may make yourself a little bit bummed by thinking about this, but you have to get to the root because you want to be able to identify exactly where the leak is, where it's bleeding. So you can put pressure on it, so you can heal that up, apply the Neosporin, so you can really identify that problem and attack it and say, okay, wow, so this is just an abandonment issue. This is a fear of not being loved. It's a validation issue. My ego got hurt. Whatever it is, identify it honestly. Because then once you can, this is how we diagnose things. Diagnosing shit, especially, I have a motorcycle shop. That's really important. And you can't lie to yourself when you're diagnosing something. You have to be honest. Be willing to see the truth. And then you get on it. One of the ways we get on top of inner weaknesses is through positive affirmations. I have a whole other video about this, and you can search my catalog of videos, and I bring you step by step through one of the most effective ways that I've found to chisel in positive affirmations. You're brainwashing yourself. You can say positive affirmations all day long while you're driving, while you're doing dishes, and it's a good way to just get into a repetition of positive thought. The more you do it, the better at it you get. But through exercise, getting your heart rate going, and instilling the positive affirmation then is a proven technique to chisel into stone a new mindset. A new narrative in your head. So instead of saying I'm a loser that'll never be loved, or whatever that weakness is that is tied to the past, you can attack that with something else. Erase that and chisel in a new affirmation. I am loved. What you say after I am is like a magic word. It's like a spell. You have to be careful what you say. That's why they say watch what you say. Because every time you speak, every time you think, especially when you're thinking about yourself, you have that inner narrative, I'm a loser. Stop sending those messages out into the universe. Stop coding that stuff into your computer. Get rid of that code. We all have areas of the past, of trauma, that we're just not over yet. There's something in your life where I could get you going. We could bring it up and I could get you going in one way or another. We all have that. When those arise, don't just run from them. Get rid of that shit forever. Be free. Free yourself. Thanks for watching.